In the month of October, my only goal was to read the Throne of Glass series. Did I do that? Sort of. But in my defense, I have some really beautiful books this month. My pre-order for Shadows of Perl came in. I've been waiting on this book forever. This is the second book in the House of Marion series. This book is so pretty. Look at this. I did read this book as a buddy read with my buddy Paula, who is wonderful. Please go follow her. She's great. If you ever want to have a more involved reading of a book, definitely try out a buddy read. This is Paula and I's fourth book that we have buddy read together, and I will say every single time it makes the experience so much better to be able to go in and talk about our theories as we're reading along, what she thinks, what I think, or when the book ends, we talk about what we think is going to happen in the next book, and I feel like it makes us enjoy the book so much more. This book picks up right where book one left off. Quell is still on the run and Jordan is hunting her down. Right as I thought I had it all put together, this book was left on the biggest cliffhanger ever. I feel like Quell has gone through some development, but I feel as if this book was not for her. This book was for Jordan. This is Jordan's main character era. I was beginning not to like his character at all because he was just so naive, and he's finally learning that his system is corrupt. Can we talk about this cliffhanger? Now I have to wait for book 3. I give this book a 5 out of 5. I do recommend this book for anybody who loves YA fantasy. This is the perfect adventure to go on. Another book I read this month was Beach Read by Emily Henry. This is my first Emily Henry book, and I am so glad that it was. This is going to open my eyes to other books. This is one of the most beautiful books inside and out. I haven't read too many rom-coms, but I'm so glad that I picked this up. But I will be honest, I definitely chose this book based on its looks. Like, can you see this? It's beautiful. But the best part is, this is not the title of the book. This is one of the most beautiful quotes in the book. Now this is the deluxe edition. I picked this up at Walmart, but I'm sure it's sold in other places as well. I highly, highly recommend. The story is about two struggling writers as they navigate their way back to essentially the land of the living. Both were living in this haze. They both had gone through some sort of tragedy or struggle, and it got them in a funk that they just couldn't get out of. But in true romance fashion, they find their way back through each other. The story has absolutely hilarious banter. There were times that I was outwardly laughing, like in a silent place and just bust out laughing kind of banter. It was great. I think the thing that resonated with me the most in this book was how real these characters were. They were going through real life problems. She has lost her dad. He is going through a divorce. Both of them are at a time in their life where both have to grow and adapt and find their way back to normal through these hardships. This is also a little bit of enemies to lovers because they did know each other back in college. They were actually sort of rivals in college. That fuels the fire for their competition that they start in this book. The story is absolutely wonderful. I will always recommend this. This has made it to one of my top spots. It's right up there with Say You Swear. For romance, infinity stars, absolutely love it. Go read this book. And then yes, I finally started Throne of Glass. Not Assassin's Blade, Throne of Glass. This was based on a recommendation from one of my friends. The series was daunting on its own because there are 8 books. 8 books to get through. Boy, did I not know what I was getting into. This is one of the best adventures I've been on in a book in a while. I will say that this book has one of the best female main characters I have seen in a book ever. Like, ever. Top tier. She is one of my favorite characters. Maas writes her to be this strong, strong woman. She's only 17/18 years old, and she is the most notorious assassin ever. This book starts off strong. It follows Selena as she is in a working camp because she's been captured. She is no longer the most notorious assassin. She is a prisoner. I mentioned the life expectancy in these working camps was only like 6 months, and she had made it a year. In true romantasy fashion, a prince comes to get her to make her compete in a competition that would allow her to become the king's champion, which essentially just means hired assassin for the king. Same job, new employer. And throughout this book, you're starting to think like, oh, it's about the trials, it's about her, it's about the prince, it's about the captain of the guard. But no, this book has secrets. Elena has secrets, but she's not the only one. I do rate this book a 5 out of 5. I think it is a great start to the series. Now, due to my own personal experience, I recommend starting Throne of Glass versus Assassin's Blade. I will say that I did have a little bit of knowledge from Assassin's Blade, but definitely start Throne of Glass. I think it's a better introduction to the series, and I think you will grasp onto the series a little better than starting Assassin's Blade. The last book that I read for the month of October was Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. Of course. The story picks up almost right where it left off. Selena is now the king's champion, and she's been sent on missions to get rid of the king's enemies. I think one of the biggest things in this book is her relationship with Kale, and I absolutely adore it. Am I saying his name right? I did look up a pronunciation guide. In book 2, you're able to see more into the secret. You're starting to realize in this book that Selena is a little more than she claims to be. There's also a tragedy in this book that I'm pretty sad about. I wish that character would have stayed a little bit longer, but I do see how it is a pivot point for the series, and I'm excited to see where it goes into book 3. And through it all, as of right now, I am still Team Kale. I do rate this book a 4.5 out of 5. There was a little bit of drama that I wasn't sure that I liked all that much. But other than that, the story was great. I can't wait to start book 3. I also can't wait to figure out what happens in the other 6 books.